Yeah, no, it's gonna be short. Okay, guys, let's learn. Let's learn. So we know that when the Jewish people were camping in the desert, when the Jews were camping in the desert, they were split up into three machnes, three different camps. There was the camp called Machne Shechina, the camp of the divine presence, which was where the Mishkan actually was, in the center. That's the Machne Shechina. That's the camp of the divine presence. Right outside of that was what's called Machne Levia, the camp of the Levium. It's where the Levium and Kahanim lived. And outside them, the furthest camp was Machne Yisrael, where all the Jewish people camped. Now that arrangement, that there's three divisions, three different levels. There's the place of the divine presence, the place of the Levium, and the place of the rest of the Jewish people. Those three camps also existed when we got to Israel also. By the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, also we had these three different divisions. The Beis HaMikdash itself, that is considered the Machne Shechina, the camp of the divine presence. The Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, right? The whole mountaintop where the Beis HaMikdash was on top of it, that's considered Machne Levia, the camp of the Levium and Kahanim. And the whole city of Yerushalayim is considered the camp of the Jewish people. Now there's a halacha in the Torah, there's a mitzvah, one of the 613 mitzvahs is Shiluach Tameim, which is that the people that are contaminated, people that are ritually impure, someone who touched a dead body, a Metzorah, someone who has tsaras, all the different types of people that are tamei, have to be separated from some of these camps. The more severe the tumah, the more severe the contamination, the more camps are kicked out of. Now there's one type of contamination, there's one person that's tamei, there's only one type that's kicked out from even Machne Yisrael, from even the entire city of Yerushalayim, from the camp of the Jewish people. And that is who? That is the Metzorah. Someone who spoke Lashon Hara and gets the blemish of tsaras that's spoken about in this week's parsha, he's kicked out of not only the Beis HaMikdash, not only the Har HaBayis, not only the Temple Mount, not just, again, the divine camp, not the camp of the Levium, the camp of the entire Jewish people. He's kicked out of everything. Chutz l'machne, completely separate. And that is that's unique to the Metzorah. Even a dead body, the dead body itself, which is the most severe of contaminations, could be brought into the Beis HaMikdash. The one thing that has to be kicked out of everything, of the entire Jewish people, is someone who has tsaras. So the question is why? Why is tsaras so severe that it can't be tolerated even in the camp of the Jewish people? The Beis HaMikdash, it can't go in. The camp of the Levium, the ones that serve in the Beis HaMikdash, but the camp of the Jewish people is kicked out from everything. Why? Why is tsaras so severe? And what is it telling us about service of Hashem? As we say every week, everything in the Torah, every halacha, whether it's relevant practically nowadays or not, is telling us something about how to serve Hashem. So what is this telling us? That tsaras, the person who has tsaras is kicked out of everything. So listen to this medrash. And if you understand this well, it's really something to take to heart to give us chizuk, especially coming into Pesach. Listen to this medrash. It's a medrash in Parshas Kisavo and Devarim. It says like this. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said that if the Jewish people were missing even one person, if they're missing one Jew out of the 600,000, the Torah would not have been able to be given to them. There needed to be every single person there. If you're missing one, the whole nation is depleted. You cannot give the Torah to a nation that's missing one Jew. Because the pasuk says, "Ki biyom hashlishi," on the third day by Har Sinai, the mountain, the giving of the Torah, Yered Hashem came down le'ene kol ha'am, in front of everybody. Everybody had to be there. If there was one Jew missing, the whole thing is messed up. Now the Medrash continues. Ma'aseh Rebbe. There's a story with Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the great Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the author of Mishnayos, Shahayadarish of Beis HaMedrash HaGadol, that he would give a drasha in yeshiva every day. He would give a drasha. And when he first came into yeshiva to give the shir, he would say the following thing every day. He would say the following thing: make sure before I start speaking that everybody is here. Make sure that everybody is here. If 90% is here, it's not good enough. If 95% is here, it's not good enough. Every single person has to be there. Just like Matan Torah, if there's one Jew missing, the whole thing is messed up. What is this medrash telling us? This medrash is telling us something so important. A lot of times we think that what's important is the nation, the land of it, everything, the collective group, But one individual person, how much does it matter already? What's so important? It's not so significant. What's significant is the hundreds of people, thousands of people, the entire nation, the entire Jewish people. This Medrash is saying the exact opposite. The exact opposite. Every single person is so significant and so important and so holy and so necessary that if there's one Jew missing, the entire nation is depleted. It's not just that you have a nation without that guy. You don't have anything. You mamish don't have anything. We all know the teaching that the word Yisrael, the title Yisrael, Jew, Yisrael, the letters of the word Yisrael are, stand for the following words. Yesh, Shishim, Riboy, Isis, the Torah. There are 600,000 letters to the Torah. We know that. There are 600,000 letters to the Torah corresponding to the 600,000 Jews. And all the commentaries explain, if you have a Sefer Torah that's missing one letter, it's not just you have a Sefer Torah that's just missing one letter. You don't have a Sefer Torah. The whole Sefer Torah is depleted. It doesn't have the holiness of the entire Sefer Torah. Every single letter is not just meaningful by itself. Without each individual part, the whole thing doesn't have holiness. So it's the same thing with the Jewish people. Just like a Sefer Torah that's missing one letter, the whole thing is puzzle. So too with the Jewish people. If you're missing one Jew, if there's one Jew that feels kicked out, there's one Jew that's not living up to his potential, it's the whole nation is depleted. The whole nation is depleted. The Gemara says, it's an unbelievable thing if you think about it. The Gemara says that the whole reason for Golus, the whole reason why the Jewish people were sent into exile and were still in exile, the Gemara says, Lehigli Yisrael bein ha'amim, that the only reason why the Jewish people were sent into Golus is b'shvil she'yikabel gerim, in order that we should gather up converts. That's it. That's the whole purpose is that we should go from country to country and just on our own, just automatically attracting converts. That means into why? Why? What's so important about converts? That what it's telling the same thing. The nation is not complete without its individuals. You can't have Klal Yisrael. Yisrael is the nation of the Jewish people is not existing unless each individual person that's supposed to be there is there. And if we're in Germany and there's a guy, a non-Jew, who wants to convert, and we don't give him the ability to convert, the whole people are missing. We're missing everything. It's not that we're just missing that one convert. The whole people is depleted. So the only reason why we're going around country to country, why we live in America, is purely to attract those individual people that we need. Not just for them, it's for us. The Jewish people, in order to become who we have to become, just like in order to receive the Torah back then, we needed every individual person. In order for Mashiach to come, in order for us to become as a nation who we have to become, we have to have each individual person becoming who they can become. It's so important. This is something we have to take to heart. When a person, God forbid, if there's sinas chinam, if there's hatred from friend to friend, if you don't appreciate each other, it's not just that, Reuven doesn't like Shimon because Shimon's not a nice guy. Shimon is necessary for the entire Jewish people. Each and every one of us is necessary for the entire people. So hating another Jew, not liking another Jew, is not liking. You're destroying the people of Israel. You're destroying the entire nation. Listen to this Medrash. I mean, this is a story in the Medrash that we're all somewhat familiar with. Listen, this is what Chazal are saying. This is what the Medrash we just read was, that in order for the nation to be complete, we need each individual person to be important, to be considered special. And the leaders of the Jewish people understand this well. Listen to this. It's the Medrash in Shmos. The Medrash says like this: Hashem tzadik yuvachem. That Hashem has tests. Hashem has ways to test His tzaddikim. It says like this: Ubemehu bochno, when Hashem wants to decide whether a person is supposed to be a leader, whether a person's fitting to be a leader of the Jewish people, what's the test that historically Hashem has given? So the Medrash says b'marat sign, that Hashem tests the future leaders of the Jewish people with sheep, with being a shepherd. Medrash says the following thing: Badak lo David b'tzayin. In order to determine whether David was worthy of becoming the leader of the Jewish people, Hashem had to test him with sheep. That he had to see he had to see if he would be a good shepherd. He had to see if David was going to be a good shepherd. So the Medrash says like this: What did Hashem see? David Melech was a shepherd, right? Before he became David Melech, he was a shepherd. So what qualities in his shepherdy, whatever, his qualities of being a shepherd, did Hashem see that were so unbelievable that he was worthy of being the king? What did Hashem see? So listen to this: David HaMelech, when he was a shepherd, would hold back the strong sheep in order to let the weak sheep come and graze first. Because if the strong sheep, if he didn't do that, the strong sheep would be too aggressive and the weak sheep would never get their fill. He would first allow the young sheep to go and take the softest grass to eat. Then he would take the old sheep that they should get the next level of grass. Then he would take the young, strong sheep that they would be able to deal with the toughest grass. So after seeing how much detail and how much focus David HaMelech put into each individual sheep to see what is best for it, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said the following thing: Mishu yadei liras hatzayin ish kifi darkai. A person who's able to shepherd the sheep, knowing each individual one what he needs, Yava v'yir b'ami, he'll be the shepherd of my sheep, of my people, of my Jewish people. This is what Hashem saw in David HaMelech, that what made him become. It wasn't the fact that he knew Kol Torah Kula. It wasn't the fact that he knew Shas and everything that was included in Shas. What the one quality that Hashem saw in David that made him worthy of being the leader of the Jewish people was that he saw the individual sheep, not just the collective whole. That's what Hashem saw in David. And that as a leader, that's what's necessary, because in order to lead the people mean each individual person. And you can't, and as a leader and as a king, you can't fall into the trap of just caring about the majority and caring about the collective without the individual person. Listen to this. So too with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was tested with sheep by being a shepherd. Amru Rabbeinu. Chazal say the following thing, says the Medrash. When Moshe Rabbeinu, before he became Moshe Rabbeinu, right, before Hashem sent him down to Egypt to redeem the Jewish people, he was a shepherd for his father-in-law Yisro. So the Medrash says that one day when he was a shepherd, Barach mimenu gedi, so one goat in the flock ran away and escaped. So Moshe Rabbeinu ran after this one goat, until he reached a certain place called Chasis. Kivan Shagia Lachasis, when he reached there and he found this goat, he discovered that this goat was standing over a spring of water, and the goat was standing there drinking. So Kivan Shagia Moshe, so when Moshe Rabbeinu saw this, what was his reaction? Omar, he said, I didn't know that you were so thirsty. I didn't know that's why you were running away to go try to find water. Ayafata, therefore you must be very tired. From the run, from being thirsty, you must be very tired. Here, Kive al Ksefo, so he picked the goat up and put him on his shoulders and carried him back to the flock. Vayimach, and that's how Moshe Rabbeinu went. Omar Kadosh Baruch Hu, so Hashem said the same thing. You have such compassion on in each individual goat to be such a shepherd. Chayecha, by your life, at the Tirat Tzoni Yisrael, you're going to be the shepherd of my flock, the Jewish people. That's what it means. That's what it means. That the pasuk says that Moshe Rabbeinu was a good shepherd, and that's why he became the leader of the Jewish people. This is what's necessary, because the Jewish people are only complete if each individual person are with them as part of them. There's no such thing as having 95%. There's no such thing. And each and every one of us that are here today, born as a Jew and acting as a Jew, we have to recognize, we have to understand how important we are. If we don't live the way we're supposed to live, if we don't become the people that we're supposed to become, we're not just living up to ourselves. We're letting down the whole people. And the opposite, all the more so. The more strength we put into service of Hashem, the more focus, the more sweat we put into becoming full Jews, the more we become who we can become, the more we're uplifting the entire people. The more we're uplifting the entire people. You know, the pasuk says that Moshe Rabbeinu, after the 40 years in the desert, Hashem finally told Moshe that, your time is up. You're not going to bring the Jewish people into Israel, and it's going to be it. You're going to die in the desert. So what was Moshe Rabbeinu's reaction to that? After hearing, if we heard that, I don't know if we would have the same reaction as Moshe. So in Parashas Pinchas, listen to this. After Hashem tells Moshe what's, that again, your end, you're not going into the land. He says like this. Vayidaber Moshe el Hashem. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu immediately responded to Hashem as follows. Yifgoid Hashem elokei ruchas l'chol basar ish al eda. If I'm not going to be the one to take the Jewish people into Israel, then you, Hashem, the God over all different personalities, you should appoint another person instead of me that's going to be able to lead the Jewish people. So it's a weird way to describe Hashem, the God over all personalities. Why did he describe Hashem in such a way? Rashi says, coming from a Medrash, Rashi says, Kivan sheshama Moshe. Once Moshe Rabbeinu heard, she'amar lo ha'mokim, that Hashem said, you're not going to go into the land. Amar lo fanav Ribono Shel Olam. Moshe Rabbeinu responded by the following. You Hashem, you know the different personalities of each individual Jew. The Einan Diamond Zelazeh, and they're not the same. Each person is different. Appoint a leader that's going to be able to understand and appreciate each and every individual Jew. That was his concern. That was the one quality that Moshe Rabbeinu was looking for in his successor. That you, the God over all personality traits, appoint someone that understands and appreciates each individual one. Because that's what a leader is. That's the perfection of the Jewish people. To become perfect, you need individuals. There's no such thing as having, again, the collective without each individual mattering. It doesn't work like that. Each individual person matters. And that's why maybe it could be. That's why when Hashem first revealed himself to Moshe Rabbeinu to tell him the mission that he's going to be the leader and to take the Jews out of Egypt, we all know Hashem got his attention with a burning bush, right? That's we all know, right? Vayar, that he saw a sneh boyer be'esh, a burning bush, ve'einenu uchal, and it's not being consumed, right? So we know that the symbolism, the fact that it was burning and not being consumed, was that the Jewish people are going through difficulties, but they're still able to survive. But why a bush? Why? What's the symbolism of a bush? Why did Hashem choose a bush to get Moshe's attention? So it could be, according to this, very simple. When it comes to a mountain or a rock, mountains are homogeneous. You know what I mean? There's no different parts to it. You don't see individual parts by a mountain or a rock. It's all just one big rock. By a bush is just a compilation of individual leaves and individual stems and individual parts. You clearly see by a bush the individual parts of it. And it's through the individuals that you collectively come up with a bush, and you come up with a complete plant. Hashem was telling Moshe, the secret, the reason why I'm choosing you, and the secret of what a true leader is, and the secret to what the Jewish people is, the Jewish people are not just one big glob. The Jewish people are individuals. And it's individuals that are so important. The person should never think that, what does it matter if I personally daven today? What does it matter if I personally put on tefillin, if I personally think about God? It's insignificant. What's important is if we got to make sure that everybody keeps Shabbos, or that everybody puts on tefillin. But me putting on tefillin, what's it significant? It's not like that. Chas v'shalom. For each individual person, it's mamish everything. If you save a life, you save the whole world, right? It's the same thing, all the more so spiritually. If a person spiritually saves his own life and does what he has to do in his own personal life, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Your mom is saving everything. This is something we have to hold on to this strongly, because the longer we sit in Golas, and American culture b'chlal, everything is telling us that individuals don't really matter. It's all about the collective. It's all about the group, we're just insignificant. But it's chas v'shalom. It's mamish not like that. The most important thing is the individual. That's the mamish most important thing. If there's one Jew missing, the whole Torah would not have been given. The whole Torah would not have been given. We're only here in order to get converts. Each individual convert is mamish holding the whole world together. We have no idea. Each individual thing. It's like Reb Chaim Volozhin used to say, if one Jew is sitting and learning, in his example in Volozhin, then you don't know. You could be mamish protecting Jews in Berlin. You have no idea. One individual thing, we have no idea. And it's a shame that we can't. It's very difficult to appreciate it, but it's so important to remember how important each little thing is. It's by the little things that really show something. They really make a difference. It's the small things. That's what we started with a problem. Why is it that of all the problems, of all the contaminations, it's tsaras. Someone who has tsaras is kicked out of the camp of the Jewish people, the entire camp. Why? So according to this, it's very simple. What does a person do to get tsaras? He speaks lashon hara, right? What's lashon hara? Lashon hara is when Reuven doesn't like Shimon, right? Reuven doesn't like Shimon. He speaks lashon hara about Shimon. You know what it means if Reuven doesn't like Shimon? And that means in Reuven's mind, he's kicking Shimon out of the Jewish people. By having one individual missing, the whole people are messed up. Reuven is messing up the entire Jewish people. Then he's kicked out of the entire camp, because in his life, he's destroying the Jewish people. When he says lashon hara about Shimon, it's not just that he has a problem with Shimon. He's not just that he's kicking himself out of Shimon's house. By having a problem with Shimon, by having a problem with one individual Jew, then you're kicking yourself out of the entire people, because Shimon is as important to the entire nation as a million people are. There's no such thing as just one person not counting so much. If this guy spoke lashon hara about Shimon, then the only tikkun, his rectification, is to be shown that you have no idea you don't know what you're doing. By you speaking lashon hara, by you not caring and not loving this one individual Jew, what you're saying is that I don't have any part with the entire people. That's what you're saying. So in order to be mechazik him, in order to make him return to do tshuva, in order to recognize what he's doing, we have to give him some shock therapy, right? So in order to get him out of his, this mistake, you kick him out of the entire camp, because that's what he's doing to himself. That's mamish what he's doing. It's mamish terrible. So you have to be mechazik ourselves with this, because again, if on the negative side it's like that, if by speaking lashon hara and not liking one Jew, you're dismantling in your life, you're kicking yourself out of the entire people, then on the good side, all the more so. If you do chesed to another Jew, if you say hello, if you say, just speak with a smile, if you make someone happy, one individual person, one small little thing, you give $1 to one person, you have no idea what you're doing. You're establishing, you're building the entire people. There's no such thing as just one person. It's just one guy. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Let me tell you a Maisa. Maisa goes that one time, you remember the Rebbe, the Abt Rav, the Rav of Abt, the Divrei Chaim, was known as of the Oiv Yisrael, the lover of the Jewish people. He was a big tzaddik, the Oiv Yisrael. Lived in mid-1800s. So the story goes that one time he came to a certain city, and as usual, when the Rebbe of that stature comes to the city, the whole city comes out to greet him, So the Maisa goes that he came to the city, and again, as usual, the whole city came out to him. And while he was there, greeting people and whatever, speaking to the rabbis, whatever, all of a sudden there was like a Kriyas Yamsuf. All of a sudden the whole community split, and it was just a huge, everybody just moved away. Why? It wasn't for the Rebbe. It seemed that it turned out that in this city there was one guy, and unfortunately, we've seen people like this. The guy was not mentally, he was not there. He didn't take care of himself. He didn't shower. He's one of these guys, real nebuch, like he wasn't 100% there. He was like 500 pounds, like a real, not a very appealing type of person. So then it was like in this city, when this, whatever this guy's name was, Mishlo, whatever, when he would come walk in the street, you'd cross the street. Because he wasn't, I don't know if he was dangerous, but he just wasn't, he wasn't a guy that you want to hang out with. So this guy, the whole community's there, so Mishlo decides to come too. So he comes, and everybody parts, because no one wants to stand next to this guy. So the Oiv Yisrael looked at this, the Oiv Yisrael, the lover of the Jewish people, he looks at this scene, and he looks in this guy's eyes, and he sees all the pain, again, the guy is mentally not 100% there, but they know what's going on. The guy walking down the street and everybody moves to the other side, the guy feels it. So Oiv Yisrael went over to him. Oiv Yisrael was a little person. He was very short, not like, he was just a short guy, very slim. And this guy was huge. So he goes over, the Oiv Yisrael goes over to this person, Mishla, and goes to one side of him, and he just comes to his stomach, He gives a kiss on his stomach, and he says, a shtik yid, a piece of a Jew. And he moves over, and he kisses another piece. He says, noch a shtik yid, another piece of a Jew. Well, it goes over, noch a shtik yid. He went like this, What was he doing? What, this guy knows anything? No. He doesn't know anything. Did he do any mitzvahs in his life? Probably not so much. What's Oiv Yisrael looking at? The Oiv Yisrael understood. This Rebbe, the tzaddik, understood. It's a piece of a Jew is also something. The fact that he's just a Jew, the fact that he's existing, he's one individual person, but this one individual person is part of the Jewish people, and without him, we're all missing. So it's a piece of a yid. It's something special. You give a kiss. It's not like you kiss the Sefer Torah, you kiss that part of his stomach, It's a piece of a Jew. Moves on. Every single piece is important, This is something we have to hold on to, because we fall into, we fall into traps. Our Yetzer Hara tries to convince us that when we're having bad days, when we're having bad weeks, or bad months, or bad years, or even sometimes bad decades, the Yetzer Hara convinces us that you know what, you cut yourself off, you're insignificant, it doesn't matter what you do. You're already at a point where it's insignificant, you don't matter. Back when you were young and you had potential, and you were very something special, but now you're already older, what are you going to accomplish already? You're going to learn another Pasuk in Chumash, another Rashi, another Mishnah? It's not like you're going to turn into the Rosh Hashiva of the decade, so what are you doing already? We have to fight the Yetzer. We have to tell Yetzer Hara, you're 100% wrong. Because Hashem chose David and Moshe, why? Not because they just took care of the collective flock. There's a lot of shepherds that take care of the collective flock. What was special about David and Moshe was that they cared about the individual. We have to tell the Yetzer Hara, we have to tell ourselves that it is very important that we learn a Rashi. And it's very important that we put on tefillin. And it's very important that we say Shema. Because by doing these small things and helping ourselves, we're helping the entire people. We have to recognize what's on our shoulders and what we're accomplishing. We're not just helping ourselves out. We're maintaining and establishing the entire people. So if we take this target and we're mechazik ourselves with this, And when we learn in this Shabbos the parasha of Metzorah, we have to remember this, that we're telling the Metzorah his purification is by telling him that speaking Lashon and having negative feelings to one person, you're destroying the entire people. You're destroying the entire people. So if we merchazik ourselves with this, and we strengthen our ben adam lechavero, helping other Jews, being nice to individual people, even when you're not getting your name in the paper for it, and you're not becoming, you're not giving $1 million to tzedakah, you're not building a shul, you're just being nice to one guy. You have to recognize what that is, and it's a huge thing. And it's a piece of the Jew. It's something. It's significant and it's important. So if you remember this fully, and we take this to heart, we will be zeicha. Enough individuals do what they have to do, then collectively we will all be zeicha to be as Mashiach Tzidkenu. Amen.
Amen.